Again, it's Matthew, the 28th chapter. I am not going to insult your hearing or your intelligence by rereading it, but Matthew, the 28th chapter, verse 1 through 15. Verse 1 through 15. And I want to preach very briefly. Please pray. I've had to develop 5 new sermons this week. That many occasions. So if it ain't the best sermon, give a brother a break. Pray for a brother this morning. But we're not here to be impressive. We're here to give you what the word. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I want to preach briefly this morning from the subject in the form of a question. Do you want him? All right. Do you want him? Father God, again, we thank you for this day. We thank you, Lord, for dying for us. But you didn't stay there. You got up for us. For that we are thankful. Be glorified. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Do you want him? Pastor Bell, friends, as a pastor, and not simply as a pastor, as a Christian man, but even more so as a pastor, oftentimes I can wonder, why don't certain individuals give their life to Christ? No judgment, no condemnation, just sometimes the thought kind of lingers in my head. So especially if there's a loved one that you know that you just see how the Lord has blessed them. You know, good job, healthy family. They've been in so much stuff, but some kind of way God gets them out. You know anybody like that? And sometimes the question just, don't you see how good God is? Why don't you give your life to him? Why don't you surrender to him? There's so many different excuses. Some people might give the excuse of they start talking about church folk. But then we weren't talking about church folk. Are you coming to church? It's talking about you giving your life to Christ. Some others, they will go in this approach and say that they don't believe that there is a God. They don't believe in God. And if the truth be told, most of them, if you start to ask them, why don't you believe in God? Oftentimes, they would say something like this, well, when my mama died, or when my brother got sick. So the truth is, it's not that they don't believe in God. They just don't believe he's a good God. And so as I ponder this question, the Lord shared with me, he said, son, the thing is not that people don't believe in me. It's just they don't want me. They don't want me. They don't want me. Pastor, how can you say that? We just heard our scripture. The soldiers, what they call in the King James, the watch. They were watching the tomb where Jesus was. Angel came, and the glory of the angel. And if we be real, if you see an angel, you probably pass out as well. They see this angel, and it said dead men. And the angel rolled the stone away. We're not going to deal much with that. We're going to let Pastor Bell deal with that at 11 o'clock this morning. But I do want to share with you, the angels didn't roll the stone away to let Jesus out. He was already out. They ain't rolled the stone away to let us in. Yeah. And do you see how the young people call it shade? I don't know if y'all heard that term. Do you see the shade that the angels were given? So much shade that after the angel rolled the stone away, the angel sits on it. Cool, calm and collected, as if to say, who are you here to see? Jesus that you killed, the Jesus that you said was not the Son of God, the Jesus that you thought could not come down from the cross, he is not here, for he has risen, as he said, come see the place where he laid. He tells Mary Magdalene and other Mary to go out and tell the disciples. But this is what happens after these soldiers come to. They go back to the high priest. They tell them exactly what happened. And the high priest, y'all read it, said, well, this is what you do. We want you to lie. And you go and tell them, you tell the governor that he did not rise from the dead. You tell them that at night his disciples came and stole him. Now you got to understand something. Whenever a watch was on guard, mind you, they were watching all night. So for them to tell the governor that the disciples stole the body of Jesus while they were on guard, that was a death sentence. So the high priest said, not only are we going to pay you, but we're going to tell the governor what you say is true, so your necks won't be on the line. But watch this. If you read it too fast, you'll miss it. They believed he rose. They believed it. They just didn't want it. They didn't want it. Well, Pastor, why didn't they want Jesus? Well, Jesus, he was threatening them to lose their lifestyle. Number one, Jesus was getting extremely popular. And the Sadducees feared that he would rise to political power, which would strip their power in the political arena of the day. You know, when something is going to bother your power, especially politically, people are trying to get you out the way. Don't you know that? Oh, they're trying to kill you. Why do you think Dr. Martin Luther King was slayed? It wasn't just because he was a black man. He was threatening politics from white and black individuals, because you had some black folk who didn't like it that he was getting so popular. Number two, Jesus, his zeal for the temple struck right at their revenues. Y'all remember just before that week, right after we dealt with this Sunday, he comes into Jerusalem on a donkey. But then he goes straight into the temple, tearing up some stuff. Tearing up some stuff. That's why we got to be careful, Pastor. We do the right thing, but they don't like us no more when we start tearing up some stuff. They don't like us no more when we start tearing up stuff. No, I like this preacher, but now he's tearing up stuff. Now they don't like that, although they're getting money illegally. Don't mess with our money now. We were fine with you teaching and healing, but now you're messing with the extra money we make on the side. Well, another reason why they didn't want them, the Sadducees wanted a social order, and Jesus promoted brotherhood and equality. In other words, the preachers are not just the best ones. You know, sometimes preachers, we can make it feel like we are the cream of the crop and y'all just the peasants. Oh, y'all understand that, don't you? Y'all understand that? And so Jesus said, no. Everybody is equal. There is neither Jew nor Gentile. Come on. Bond nor free. Male or female. We're all one. Yes, sir. Christ Jesus. But lastly, the Pharisees hated Jesus because he was radical. And they were so traditional. Yes. If people followed Jesus, they wouldn't follow them in their tradition. And it makes me think, once I started calling the roll right now, I don't have much written, I don't. But it makes me think, would we, according to these categories of why they didn't want Jesus, if we were there, would we be responsible for his death? I just want you to think about that, saints of God. I just want you to think about that. I'm glad I heard a mother say, help us. That's fine. I'm not pointing the finger at none of y'all. I'm looking at myself. Help me, Jesus. Do I get mad at people, try to stop people because they're getting more popular than me? Do I start getting upset with folk because they are against my tradition? Do I try to undermine and up? Come on, saints of God. Would Jesus' blood be on my hands? Don't want him. And these people were so, I might deal with this a little in the morning, later in the morning still, but even when Barabbas, they bring them up and say, which one? Barabbas? Give us Barabbas. Right? Before that, this is how wicked they were. Yeah. Judas betrays Jesus with a little piece of money. Says that he realizes that he's been condemned. He goes back to the same one who gives him the money and says, I don't want this money no more. Listen how twisted their thinking was. They said to themselves, we cannot put this money in the treasury, in the temple, in the holy treasury, because it's not of God. But it was okay for them. Not only that, when they go into the house, of Pontius Pilate, who is a Roman, Gentile, these Jews said it's not lawful for us to step in the house, so he comes out to them. They said it wasn't lawful for them to go to his house, but it was okay to kill Jesus. It's amazing to me, the sin that we separate, the sin that is convenient for us, but then other sins that's not of God. But let me keep telling you what they did. This whole situation was so ungodly, so messed up, so unlawful, that number one, they had court at night. Wow. Jewish law insisted that all trials of criminals before the priest be held in the daytime. Talking about something that's unlawful. Not only did they have court at night, they had court at the priest's house. The Sanhedrin was to meet in the only hall that was set aside for its purposes. And only when you had meetings and judgments at the hall court and the trial wasn't a valid trial. We call that a kangaroo court. But not only that, saints of God, they reached the verdict at night. The Sanhedrin were prohibited by law from reaching a verdict on the same day that the trial was held. Another thing, the high priest forced Jesus, watch this was now, to incriminate himself. What do you mean, preacher? Matthew said that the high priest put Jesus under oath. He said to him, I adjure you by the living God. That's Matthew 26:63 for those of you who want to look it up when you go home. I adjure you by the living God. This was a very solemn oath. In response to that, Jesus breaks his silence and answers the high priest's question. Because now it's a solemn oath. So he incriminates himself. Lastly, it's so unlawful that they beat him, spit upon him. How many lashes do oftentimes we say he was whipped with? Huh? 39? Well, who whipped him? Huh? Romans whipped him. It wasn't Roman law that was for 39. If the Romans whipped him, it was probably at least 39 plus. But not just that. Scholars say it wasn't simply a whip. Edge of this whip were glass, bone, rocks, particles. And I hate to be graphic, but I'm going to tell you what happened. So you will know, so children will know it. That means as soon as the lash come on his body, it rips skin off. Over again. Don't you know he could have used all his power, but he took the lashes, he took the beating, he took the mocking. Gets on the cross. Since we're there, let's go all the way there. He dies from suffocation. That's how you die from the crucifixion. But you got to understand what's happening. He's got nails on his feet, nails in his hand. But how you are positioned on the cross, it puts all the weight on your chest. So you can't breathe. So the only way he can breathe is that he rises on the nail. So every time, you know the 7 last words, every time he speaks, he's putting his feet on the nail. And he's got the pain in his feet. But then, because the pain of his feet is too much, he goes back down, up. But now he can't breathe again. He goes back down on the nail. And he's doing this over and over until it tires him out. And that's the blessing I love about him. He loved us so much to speak that he gets back on the nail. He speaks a word and says, there's something I got to say before I leave. I'm going to get back on this nail. That's what he did for you. That's what he did for you. I came to tell you, I know this ain't the best sermon this morning, but I came to tell you that they believed him because they saw Jesus heal a lame man by the pool of Bethesda. I came to tell you this morning, they believed him because they saw Jesus. Some of them were there when he healed a man with a withered hand. I came to tell you this morning, they believed him because they saw Jesus heal a man with some spit and some dirt. They believed him because they saw Jesus because they saw Jesus heal the sick. And I got a question for you. Do you believe Jesus? Do you believe Jesus? Don't you know that they believe Jesus? Because there was the soldiers came in and out, sir. No such thing, in and out. Because the soldiers came to arrest Jesus. And when they did, Peter cut off the soldier's ear. And then Jesus put it back on them. Don't you know they saw it? They believed because the guards who were guarding the tombs, they heard the earthquake and they saw the angel. They believed. The priest said, we know that the disciples didn't steal the body. We just don't want them. I've got a question for you. Do you want Jesus? I'm not asking you, do you believe? Yes, you believe. But do you want Jesus? Do you want Jesus to change your lifestyle? Do you want Jesus to tell you what you need to hear? And if you want Jesus, I want you to lift your hands and say, I want you, Jesus. I need you, Jesus. I thank you, Jesus. For God I live and for God I die. Church,